Hi, welcome to the Shepherd's Rest Doc Talk. This is episode 198A.
I'm Kim, this is Julie. This week's Torah portion, we're moving on in Numbers. We're in Numbers 25:10 to 30, verse 1. And,
It's Pinehas, right?
yes, Pinehas or
Pinehas. Whichever one.
I say Pinehas.
However you want to say it.
Yeah.
All right, well, if you'd like to check out some of our past episodes, that would be episode 1A and B, 54A and B, 103, and 149.
Because this year is the beginning of our 5th round of Torah, which is crazy.
Fifth
All right.
round on camera. We were
Yes.
doing Torah
Oh, God,
before
yes.
this.
Thank you for clarifying. Yes, on camera of documenting. Yes.
Of Doc Talk. It's
Yes,
the
of Doc
fifth year of
Talk.
Doc
Yeah, not Torah. We've been there and still doing that. Okay, so I want to look at a few things that maybe we have not necessarily talked about before. And first one is kind of funny because it's not really in here, but it's just a thought process. And I thought, at what point did the Lord give this information of what happened with Balaam to Moses? We know that this is the end of the time before they go into Israel. So we're a month and a half or so before that. So were they given the information before the event with the Moab and Midianite women or after? And at least Moses,
I never really
he
thought
finished
about
writing
that.
it. Yeah, writings. He finishes writing the book just within a month or so.
Yeah.
So
It's one of those things that we're going to stand before the Lord and we're going to just be seeing how we went along our merry way and been like, I didn't realize I dodged that bullet.
exactly.
I didn't realize that these
Or-
people were trying to get me. I didn't
Or
realize
now
was
that
gonna happen.
explains why this happened.
Yes.
So here's a lot of if then. So if Moses and the uppers, that would be he and Eleazar, if they were privy to the information of what was happening with Balaam and Balak, then did they have them praying more? Remember that in chapter 25, they being the congregation with Moses and Eleazar are at the tabernacle door praying and weeping that this has happened, that they've had some of their fellow Israelites join themselves to the Moabites and the Midianites in this eating to Baal Peor, the sacrificial meats and participating in with that God.
Right.
And so I just start thinking, if Moses, like I said, had it before, were they prepared, and therefore it only affected a group or the southern part of the camp versus the whole camp? And we don't know this. It is speculated that every time that they moved around, that would be Balaam and Balak, that they moved to a section of the camp, this last one being the southern, because we have Simeon, child of Simeon, and that child of Simeon goes back to his tent. Going back to his tent means that they're in the area of the Simeonites. Simeonites, is that how you say it? They're in the Reubenite camp, which includes Reuben, Simeon, and Gad. So that's where that thought comes from, that maybe just a section of Israel was involved, not the entire camp of Israel.
Right. That makes sense.
Yeah, I like that. And also just a little thought process with Simeon being involved, it also makes us go back to Genesis 34. We have, in my head, that is, we have another clue to that. That is in 25, verse 14 and 15. And I'm just going to read the end of the two verses. The end of 14, it says, the son of Salu, I don't know how to say it, the leader of the father of the house among the Simeonites. And then the end of 15 says that Cosby's father, whose name was Chesur, is the head of the people of his father's house in Midian. So we have two heads together, and their kids are getting together. And so again, going back to chapter 32 of Genesis, this is where, or not 32, 34, this is where you have Dinah and Shechem coming together. And if you remember, Shechem's father goes to the city, to the people, and says, hey, listen, all we have to do is get circumcised, and then their daughters and our sons will get together, right? And then we are going to have everything they have, and don't worry, later on we'll just take it over and it'll be all ours. Mm-hmm. So a part of not just that Moab and the Midianites were trying to pull them in to curse themselves, but I just kind of see this as a plan to now take over the blessing of Israel, not just have them curse themselves, but now being able to conquer the blessing that the Lord gave to them. And that's what happened with Jacob. And if you remember, Levi and Simeon are the two back in Genesis who then attack and kill all the men. And here we have Simeon being killed, almost like mending the problem, even though we still have a bad event happening. It's kind of measure for measure in a way. And the Lord is allowing, allowing Genesis 49, which Jacob speaks over Simeon and Levi, that they were going to be separated. That this is what's happening because Simeon's numbers decrease greatly, and I would suggest it's after this event. And therefore, the amount of land they get, as we know from 26, the amount of land that they get is going to be a smaller amount. Therefore, they are later absorbed by Judah, kind of ending up with no land. And Levi is not allowed to have land. Their inheritance is the Lord. So we have the two that are scattered in the land and are separated permanently. And I just think this kind of plays a key in that, especially when you go back and read Genesis 34 and see it's the same feel.
This reminds me of Revelation 2, where it talks about the church of Pergamos, how Balaam, they adhere to Balaam,
right,
or Balak,
yes.
who taught them how to stumble by putting the food sacrifice. The same type of thing. And it makes me think, right, because God's people, those even grafted in through Yeshua, are blessed.
Yes.
And how many times does the Christian church, who's supposed to represent that, really work in opposition to Yeshua and his plan for us?
Yeah.
When they want us to stumble.
Yeah.
Deny the thing that brings about the blessing. And stumble.
Yeah, that's a great point.
I don't know.
When you said that, it made me think of, I'm not going to get their names right. Is it like the Gershonites, or it's in Joshua. It's the group that live in Israel, that are in the land of Canaan, that are supposed to be wiped out, but they trick them and they go into covenant with Israel. When they do, you know what? They end up with the blessings of Israel as well.
Yeah.
Again, they didn't do it through marrying, but they did do it through the eating and, I don't know what else, but definitely through the eating and the sacrificing of it.
So it makes sense why not everyone who comes through Messiah is going to be the bride. Because some come through because I just want that. I don't want the consequences, going to hell. I just want this. And then some are like, no, I want to go into covenant with you because your people, like Ruth, your people are my people.
Yeah. Which, oh my gosh, Ruth is the daughter of the Moabites. So she literally is the one. Oh my gosh. So wait a minute. Hold the phone. So you have the Moabites with Balak, who are like, okay, let's just take over. Trickery. Yeah, let's just take them over. And then we will have our land back and we'll have everything. They'll get the blessing. But then we have their daughter who actually fulfills it by saying, no, I'm going to join you. And in that, she gets to take pleasure in the blessings of Israel continually, because from her comes Messiah.
Yeah,
literally ends up blessing.
But what has to happen first is she has to be presented with, no, I want you to go back to your father's house and to your gods. And she says, no, I'm going with you, Naomi, to have your God as my God and your people as my people. So she denies and leaves.
Yes.
That.
The exact opposite.
Look what's happening right now.
The exact mending of what they try to do wrong. Now fix it. And I would say with now, we did it wrong.
Yeah.
And now it's being mended.
Well, it's funny because we go to Israel and they're like, oh, no, you're not Jewish. So you go back to this. And they present us with all of those gods.
Yeah. We're like, no, we don't
don't want that. We want this. And they're kind of like,
no, weird.
Yeah. We've never heard this before.
Yeah. We're like, yeah, that's right.
That's right. We want what you have.
Yeah.
But we want to be part of you, not take it over.
Right, exactly. There's the key. We don't want to come in and dominate and tell you how to do it.
Right.
We want to come and learn from you. That's that grabbing hold, right? Everyone grabs a hold of the hymn. Okay, so another thing I want to jump on was chapter 27. Well, actually, I'll go back and forth between 27 and 26. 27 verse 3, it says, our father died in the wilderness, yet he was not in the company of those who were met together against Jove, in company with Korah, but he died of his own sin, and he has no sons. Okay, this is the daughters of Zelophehad. Now let's remember in chapter 26, there is a census being taken, yes, for the army, but also for those who are going to inherit. We know that from chapter 26, verse 53, it says, and the land is to be divided between these as inheritance according to the number of names. So, surprise, the reason for the census is also to figure out who's going to get how much land. Okay. And remember, they did this the first time they were about to go in Numbers 1. That got postponed, so now we need to do it again, all right? And so we see in 26:33 that the 6 daughters of Zelophehad are mentioned, hence because they are counted among those who will be inheriting. But in 26:9, we have the 2 sons, the Danath and Aram, of Reuben, who died with Korah. And this talks about them dying with Korah. So what the daughters are saying is, look, our dad didn't die with Korah. His name should still be honored when we move in. Because again, that's their concern. But I started thinking, well, the families of the 2 Reubenites that went down into the ground, they had no family left. There was no clan available because all of their family went into the ground with them because all of their family supported them. However, in verse 9 of 26, at the bottom end, it says, verse 10, it says, the earth opened its mouth and swallowed up together with Korah when that company died, when the fire consumed 250 men, 50 men, and they became a sign. And it's so weird because it's like, it says that together with Korah, when that company died, when the fire, like, it makes it sound like Korah went down with them too. But then they add the fire. We talked about that. It's not really clear where he died.
Yeah, which one he died in.
And right here I'd be like, oh, well, he died in the ground. But then the way it says together with Korah, when the company died, when the fire, again, it's like, well, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But here's what's cool. In 26, verse 58, there's listing the clans of the Levites, and the clan of Korah, the Korahites, are listed. So, again, not sure which way, whether he went into the ground or he didn't, but what we do see is those who went into the ground, there are no clans named after them, period. Right. But those who died in the fire, there's nothing about their whole clans being removed.
Gotcha.
And Korah's clan remained. So again, that makes me go, maybe he didn't go in. The idea is it all happened at the same time. Right.
It was all one event.
Yes, exactly. All right, last little point, and that was about the glory of the Lord. That's in 27. The glory of the Lord being given to Joshua. 27:19. Verse 20. It says, this is the Lord telling Moses what he's going to do. So it says, and shall put some of your glory, your esteem upon him, so that all the congregation of the children of Israel obey him. And he will stand with Eleazar the priest, and shall inquire before the Lord for him by the right ruling of the Urim. At his word they go out, and his word they come in, both he and all the children of Israel with him and all the congregation. So basically, the Lord is having Moses share some of his glory. Now remember in Numbers 11, he, the Lord, takes some of the spirit that's upon Moses and puts it on those 70. And we've talked about, is it on Joshua? Is it not on Joshua? I mean, Joshua was functioning in a different capacity all the way back in Exodus 17. So it's very possible that he already had that.
Right.
Like the Lord blew on the disciples, even though before the event in Acts, right? That's when it was, okay. So anyway.
Well, to me, Joshua kind of takes the same status as Moses because he also represents Yeshua just at a different time period.
Absolutely. But this is a point of it being shared, something else, that glory, because only that glory is only one person at a time per se, except for now it's being passed. But I was like, so what's the glory that they're going to obey? And then I thought, what if it is from Exodus, back in Exodus in 34, I think it's 34, 35, where Moses' face shines.
Oh, so all their faces shine?
Well, wouldn't it? No. Just for this one. Not when
just
they got
for
the Spirit. But there's something extra being given.
Okay.
His glory.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't it be interesting if Joshua had some sort of illumination? Something that when they looked upon him, they're like, yeah, we definitely got to listen to him because definitely he's got what Moses had.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't say that. It just says his glory. I don't know what that is. But something that is different is while Moses had the bright shine and kept the veil on, except for when he went in and talked to the Lord, the thing with that is that Moses' face shined that bright because he was face to face with the Lord.
Right, in his glory.
In his glory. This time, Moses is sharing his glory with Joshua, not the Lord's glory. So I would suggest it's not as bright.
Yeah.
And we also see that no longer is anyone going in and out like Moses does because Joshua does not have that job. That's why he stands with Eleazar, and Eleazar is the one who goes into the tabernacle, and he's the one that asks the Lord. And then between them working together, the approval or yes, you're on the right track or whatever is given to Joshua, and then Joshua presents it to the people because the priests cannot act as the give the marching orders per se. They're not going to be the ones leading in battle.
Right. In the king role.
Right, in the king role, which is what Joshua is becoming. The first time we saw Joshua on the scene, he was in battle, Exodus 17.
Yeah.
Because that's always been his role, to be a warrior. So anyway, those are just a few little things I wanted to talk about. And we hope that you enjoy this Torah portion. You continue to read. And really in 28, 29, really getting another feel of the feast and the days that he set aside. Because again, these people are getting ready to go in. I love how he keeps reiterating how important it is. If you're going to have a relationship with me, we got to share the same culture.
Yeah. So very good.
Thank you so much for sharing us, and we will see you next week. But first, we'll see you on the flip side with Julie and Axe. Shalom.